Meeting to order of the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners. We'll start. I want to welcome everybody here. We'll start with the pledge by Director Mayor.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let's have a roll call for the commission. Suzanne?
Chairman Lent.
Present.
Vice Chairman Rain.
Present.
Commissioner Capurro.
Here.
Commissioner Chapman.
He's absent.
Commissioner Hell.
Here.
Commissioner McKett.
Here.
Commissioner Morai.
Here.
And Commissioner Wallace.
Here.
Thank you. Let's do a roll call of all the county advisory boards. If you stand up and your name so Suzanne can hear you.
Washoe County.
Juliana Carson.
Make sure you give your name too.
Sorry. Candido Mindy. Candido Mindy, Valpo County.
Bob Casanelli, Humboldt County.
Bob Cook, Douglas County.
Paul Dixon, Clark County.
Rick Smith, Washoe County.
Gary Coleman, Virginia County. Or Iowa Ranger.
Lee Graves, Lyon County.
You got everybody? Welcome again. Welcome. Okay. Next item of business is member items and announcements. Any commissioner have any emergent items they want to, or anything they'd like to see on the agenda or anything? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next item of business. County advisory boards to manage wildlife member items. Any county advisory board want to step up? Nope. Seeing none, I'll close the county advisory boards manage wildlife member items. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Make sure you fill out a card if you wish to speak, and since we don't have an adequate clock, Vice Chair Rain will hold up a red card to denote 15 seconds to the end of your testimony. Give you a little time so you know how much time you have left.
Mr. Chairman, we had two people with cards on public comment. One was Don Sefton, and he is responding to some of the requests we asked yesterday for flash numbers, and was in response to a lot of what was asked yesterday. So,
Okay, well, let's start with
followed by
Don
George
Sefton.
Corner.
Don Sefton then.
Got a couple of slides I can,
Yeah, he's responding to us.
Yeah.
if I can turn this on and connect that, that'd be great.
Hey, Suzanne, are we done with anybody that wants lunch?
She has the lunch order.
Yeah, while he's setting up, I might announce that we are going to order lunch again, but I think it's going to be a marathon. So if any of you that weren't here yesterday that wanted a sandwich for today, I'm talking with Suzanne. I think it's $10. It's a sandwich, chips, and drink.
What kind of sandwiches?
Same as yesterday.
What was that? I wasn't here yesterday.
They cheated us on the cookie, though.
Yeah.
Filed a formal complaint.
You only have one kind, you get a choice?
Did you bring a class action lawsuit?
Did you order this?
I didn't order yesterday.
She does. She has changed.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you. Is this one hot? Yeah. Don Sefton from Systems Consultants. A couple of things. One is we wanted to give you some flash numbers on this year's draw, and then you also asked some questions yesterday that we wanted to address. Bottom line, be aware these are interim results. When I was trying to throw numbers together, I found about 80 or 90 records that needed to be merged, and so, and that was just through the quick look I was doing, and they're in the process of merging records now. That'll go on until the draw. So when I give you number of clients, that number is going to drop because as we merge records, we have less clients with more applications. But, and the actual number of applications, believe it or not, still changes. If we get a late application in now, we key it, they're rejected, but we key it, and that adds to the count of applications as well. So those are still moving targets until the 25th. Total number of web applications are up. Paper applications are down. Same trend we've been seeing. What we haven't seen before is the total applications are down. And we're off a little over 1,000 over what we were last year. That's the first time since I've been involved that the numbers are down, and it caused me to tug on my hair enough to look like Jerry or Tom Cavan, but I have some answers, and I think they'll interest you. We didn't see an excessive dropout rate. That's the big concern. Did we run people off because of the economy? We didn't. We actually saw more clients, interestingly enough. We did see the applications per client went down. That's the first time we've seen that happen. My first reaction to that was to think that that maybe was a symptom of the economy, but it turned out, we found out yesterday why the application rate went down slightly over prior years, and we have some interesting numbers there. There were also 28,866 bonus point applications this year out of the 150,000 or so that we took. That's a little bit of growth over last year, not the growth we would have expected. And also, if the bonus point is the safe haven of the economy, if people retreat there and say, well, I don't want to lose my bonus points, but I can't afford to take a tag this year if I get it, then we thought we'd see more people diving into that safe harbor than did. Again, we didn't, but part of the reason why the growth is not there is the answer to the other question of why the total apps were down. This is the applications clients per year, and again, I'll caution you that that number of 150,820 applications, which is just over 1,000 under last year, is a moving target. That number has changed 7 in the last couple of days, so it'll keep changing. Same thing with the number of clients, again, as we merge clients. But look, we have more clients than the prior year, so we didn't run people off, if you will, by the economy. If you look at that right-hand column that says client, it really should say applications per client. This is the first time we haven't really seen growth in that. Over the years, it continues to grow each year. When I first got involved in the process, it was about 1.65 applications per client. Last year, it was 2.79. This year, 2.75. If you look at the web versus the paper apps, this year we dropped down to 6,852 apps on paper, 143,975 on the web, a total of just over 150,000, as you saw on the previous slide. The percentage continues to tip in favor of the web. 95.5% of the people are on the web now, and only 4.5% are on paper. I know you guys are entertaining the idea of moving to an all-web. It may happen without you as it keeps moving up there. So, one of the questions is, did we lose clients? And I always look and see how many came in, and that could be from a couple of year hiatus, but how many people came in who didn't apply the previous year, who were new this year? They may not be new to the system. And then how many dropped out? How many people applied the year before and didn't apply this year? And if you look, these numbers really aren't very dramatic. I mean, our recruitment was just a little bit lower this year by a couple of hundred, but it's right in the ballpark of what we've seen. And we didn't have any excessive dropout. In fact, it's the lowest it's been since 2006. So it doesn't appear that the ins or outs or caused the problem with the applications this year. We also looked at bonus points applications by year. And here is, I first did it, just total bonus point apps. I was kind of curious about it. And I had told Bob and Maureen that I was going to make a quick slide presentation here and ask them for suggestions. And Maureen made a really good suggestion. She said, why don't you break it out by what species they're applying for? And it turned out that answered the question unexpectedly after we've looked at all these various issues. If you look in 2009, for non-resident Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep, we had 1,845 bonus point applications. That hunt was taken off the boards this year because of the no quota, and the consequence is those people couldn't apply for bonus points, which right out the gate we would have expected we would have gotten another 1,800 apps. And not only that, but the apps for the hunt itself weren't there because it wasn't available. And if you look through the last 5 years, these are the various statuses, number of people who were unsuccessful or bonus point applications only, and then how many rejected, how many were successful, and how many withdrew their app. Look at the bottom line number there. In 2006, we had 4,200. In 2009, we had 5,600, that 1,845 bonus points you saw last year, as well as 3,800 plus apps for the actual hunt itself, 3,813 people chasing that one tag. The net is 5,662 applications that we did not see this year, could not see this year because the hunt was, yes, sir.
Does it include, do these 5,600 also have a license that is attached to it?
They would, and that's a very astute point, and I went ahead and took a look at this as well because that's another interesting issue. So at the minimum, the fiscal impact is 5,600 times $10 for the app fee is $56,000. In addition, 3,800 times the $3 predator fee, which is 11,000 or so dollars. Then the next question is yours, which is, geez, are we also losing $134 or possibly a combo license fee for these folks as well? And the good news on that is that I was curious how many people submitted as this as their only app, or they had 2 apps, or they had 3 apps. And I went back and looked over the last 5 years, 2005 through 2009. And if you look at these numbers up here, the area in the pink are essentially errors. If somebody had 9 apps, they had to have made a mistake and submitted 2 apps for something or rejected. And we had one guy or 2 guys who submitted in 2008 a full set of 7 apps twice, so they had 14 apps. But everything above the pink line is reasonable or legitimate. You could have up to 7 apps. And if you look at the number of people who only applied for this hunt, now these are only considering clients who applied for the Rocky Mountain, non-resident Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep. A very small percentage apply by themselves. That's the good news. So the first answer is these guys aren't very focused on just this hunt. I mean, if they're in it for this hunt, they're in for a lot. Now that's not true with deer hunters. If you look at deer hunters, the companion apps is not as high. We see a lot more guys who are just after deer. But with this species, if they go after this species, chances are they're going after something else as well. That's the good news. If you look, 33% of these people who applied for Rocky Mountain bighorn applied for all 7 species. I mean, that's just astounding to me. When you consider that there's a chance that some of those guys are in waiting periods even. So, you know that's a high number. 99.6% of them across the last 5 years applied for at least 2 species, meaning that if they couldn't apply this year, they could still apply for one of their other species and still buy a license. And so I looked, and it looked like there might have been about 60 people who just basically didn't or wouldn't have applied because of this. If you look at that, you might be talking about a smaller number, 6 or 7 grand on the license fees. That's the good news in this. I mean, unfortunately, there's also $60,000 that was left off the table, and $12,000 worth of predator fees. You guys also asked about junior hunt applications yesterday. I promised I'd bring in a slide from the book I gave you last year in August. This is by year how many clients have applied. The big number there, the yellow, is the tags. The next box that's kind of a light blue are the folks that are unsuccessful. And then the final darker blue at the very top, which is a fairly small box, are the folks that reject. There's numbers next to each of them. So again, if you look at the last number of years, I mentioned I thought it was around 2,500. The applicant load has been a little bit higher than the 2,500. If you add these numbers together, in 2007 and 2008, we were in excess of 3,000 folks. And again, the majority are getting tags, 2,500 getting tags. If you look in 2009, that dropped off a little bit, and it was the numbers you heard yesterday, which there were basically about 2,800 applicants, and 2,453 drew tags in the main draw. And again, some of those came back in the second draw and drew tags or bought tags over the counter subsequently, to a point where the quota, I think, was 98% exhausted, or was it? Yeah, it's pretty close to exhausted at the end of the day. Commissioner Capurro also asked how many folks would have turned 17, would be included, would have expanded the pool. And I mentioned that if you look at this volume and you evenly divided it, you'd get to about 650. But my personal gut feeling was that it would be lower than that, because the kids tend to be more excited on the front side when they're 12 and 13, and the percentage numbers is higher there, and it would be lower when we got to 17. And Commissioner Capurro approached me this morning, and he said he thought it would be less than 300. And yes, sir, you're right. It was 254? Yeah, 254 are the number of people we would add back in who were 17 who dropped out. Now, we also, of those 254, there was a number, 100 and what, that had 4 apps already?
Of those that applied in 2009,
Of the 17-year-olds.
17.
Yeah, you had the lost number of years, it was
151.
Yeah, of those 254, 151 would also drop out based on the 4-year issue. And I think Maureen, in her wording, had changed it to 5, and if not, those guys would be off the table, and you'd be talking about 100 people. So I think those are the two numbers, 254 and 103 would be what you'd add to the pool. 103 if you went with 17 but didn't go with 5 years, and 254 if you went with 17 and amended it the way Maureen suggested to 5 years.
Thank you.
I think that's it. Thank you for the time. If there's any questions.
Mr. Chairman, could I make one statement here?
Sure.
I just want to remind the commission again, and I've done this in the past, one thing I love about Don is able to pull these statistics up real time and not wait. But the decisions that you guys make on tag quotas, residents, non-residents, in or out, the one decision that you made was a $73,606 hit to the NDOW budget on the non-resident Rocky tag. And that doesn't include whatever licenses we may have lost because people didn't apply. Luckily, there's not that many that just apply for Rocky. So these things, while they may seem to be not a big deal, turn out to be a fiscal issue. So I really thank Don for kind of keeping track. There's not many boards and commissions and departments have the opportunity to kind of plan real time. Well, what was the effect of the decision that I made last year, for future years? So I just would urge you to keep that in mind.
Chairman Lent, make the
Commissioner
comment.
Viet?
Why, that begs the question in my mind, that when these kind of things come up, if we had that information at the time we made the decision to, remove that tag, maybe that makes us think long and hard, do we do it? I'll be honest, if I'd have known that information, maybe I would have had a different
You would have?
decision.
You gotta be careful making decisions on money, you know,
Well,
deal with wildlife.
you have to look at the whole,
You gotta look at
the
everything.
whole impact.
And sometimes these things, it's a gut feeling, you know, because you don't really have the data till you eliminate something, how many people actually drop out.
Commissioner Capuro?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the flip side of that is, if there are no animals, then I'm very reluctant to, or very few animals, I'm very reluctant to put people in the position to apply for tags that aren't going to give them a decent opportunity to hunt. They don't have the same information that we have as far as the die-offs in various areas and the like. So although I hate losing that kind of money, I don't want to subject the sportsmen of this state to putting in for tags that are kind of ghost tags. There's nothing there to hunt. Thank you.
We had some more public comment. We're still in public comment.
Yeah, we had George Corner. And that was all that had cards specifically on this item.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, for the record, George Corner, representing the Nevada Outfitters and Guides Association. And Mr. Chairman, to specifically answer a question you asked yesterday, the Nevada Outfitters and Guides Association has 39 members at the present time.
How many is that?
39.
39.
And the reason I'm speaking during public comment, you're aware that the association tried to present a letter yesterday supporting the Department of Wildlife's not issuing a master guide license to an individual. And I just wanted to explain why. I've talked to Brian Stockman, the Deputy Attorney General, and asked him if there was a procedure where the association or anybody could participate in these hearings as an intervener, however you want to phrase it. There's different ways that you can intervene in different proceedings. This proceeding doesn't have any way to intervene, and the association has a vested interest in a lot of these hearings concerning the guides. Now, this specific instance, the language that the master guide, which was addressed yesterday, that was the citation. Master guide must at all times accompany his client. The association asked for that language. The association asked for that language in the statute for a specific reason. The question is, why is that language there for the non-resident guided hunters and their outfitters, and it's not there for those clients that would contract with a guide for the general hunt? Reason is that numbers. An unscrupulous client or anybody that has a master guide license can put clients in the non-resident guided hunt draw, and you get down to the numbers. The rubies specifically is the best example I can use. The rubies, biggest deer herd in Nevada, largest number of available tags. In the non-resident guided hunt draw, the best odds. So an individual can get licensed up as a master guide, put his clients in that draw, they're drawn. Without that language that the master guide must accompany the hunter, he can just drop his hunters off and let them hunt the rubies, because he has a BLM permit. BLM permit covers the entire state in most instances, and your other language requires that a master guide must have the federal land permit for that area that he hunts in. Area 10, you're all aware how big Area 10 is. It covers a great big chunk of Elko County, Eureka County, also includes the rubies. When it says area, he can just dump those hunters in there. That's where the association has a vested interest in this specific issue. I just wanted to explain that, and if it's possible for the commission, with Brian's advice or direction, to have some latitude to allow the association or other individuals that have a vested interest to participate in these hearings. Any questions?
Well, I think, George, that's why I brought that up, that the law said this, and it was pretty specific, and I think justice was served, in that case.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
No more cards.
Anybody from public comment? Hearing none, I'll close the public comment period.